Welcome to College Admissions Real Talk with Dr. Aviva Legatt, a podcast for students seeking to get admitted to top-tier colleges. Each episode will feature an important tip for your college admission success, delivered with candour and love. If you've ever wanted to take a peek inside the mind of a college admissions officer, this is your chance. Have a question? Text Dr. Legatt at 610 222 57 62. So, what's your dream school?
That's really helpful for your students or for yourself. What do you think is sort of the first coding language that somebody should start with? Or are there a couple of coding languages that people should get familiar with? You know, like I'm thinking if I'm Googling examples, like should I do like Python or Java or something else?
Yeah, it's kind of a hard question. What coding language comes first? I would say probably the first ones that our students typically pick up are Java or C#, but it also depends on what you want to work on. So if you're interested in like web technologies, you'd probably learn JavaScript. If you're interested in robotics, that would maybe be the Java or C#. If you're interested in making games, we have a lot of game students that make like video games. That's coded in C# a lot of the time. If you're interested in like machine learning or, you know, digging a little bit deeper into the coding side of things, Python is actually one of my favorite languages, but it's very, very different than the others. So it can be, I would say Python as like a second language, I think is good because it's very different. You want one of the more sort of classic languages because it has more similarities to others. So I like Python a lot because it's kind of unique, but it definitely, if you learn Python first, it sort of ruins you for the more classic languages like Java or C#, which are pretty similar in structure.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's like it's like learning Mandarin so you can learn Spanish. It probably doesn't work.
Yeah.
Let's say I want to program my self-driving car. Where am I actually housing that code?
So with Arduino specifically, there is that software that works with the hardware. So it's called it's the Arduino software that connects directly to the microcontroller itself through the USB port. So you would code on your computer with this, it's basically an app that you can install, and then you'd code and it would put code onto the Arduino. If you're doing web development, that's a little bit of a different process. If you're working in Python, let's say we have a lot of BlueStem students actually work with the Raspberry Pi, which is essentially just a tiny computer. It works really similarly to how just a computer works. You can plug a monitor in and a keyboard and mouse, and it can connect to the internet and open files and, all of that same stuff. But the cool thing about it is it has little pins on it, just like the Arduino does. So it's like a computer that you can plug a motor in, make your computer turn a motor on, which is so cool. If you're coding on a Raspberry Pi, you could code it in Python. You could use Python to make stuff happen. And the Pi uses the terminal on the computer. If you don't know what the terminal looks like, have you ever seen those screens where it's like hackers and it's like a black screen with just text on it and you can tell your computer what to do? That's the terminal. You're just connecting more directly with the computer through a text-based interface as opposed to the visual sort of desktop. So you can use Python and have your terminal run Python scripts, and it feels very hackery, which I think is cool. But yeah, it kind of just depends on what you're doing, and it'll be different ways to make the code work.
Wow, really interesting. This is super helpful for me. There are a lot of people who don't know as much about engineering and just want a primer of how to get started. So, obviously with COVID-19, not working together in robotics labs or huddled around desks, unfortunately. So what advice do you have for people navigating the different fields of engineering in this remote world that we're in now, where we're socially distanced and all?
Yeah, I think this is something that all of us are kind of adjusting to. I have been really excited to see how students are kind of tackling the remote learning world now. And this is really a great time for you to try to build projects, try to learn from people online. We're all using Zoom or, some kind of video chat. And you can work with people remotely. If you just put up a video chat and have your friends kind of sitting there, maybe all of you are working on the same project and you can kind of, maybe I'm making my self-driving car. Maybe I wired up my sensor and it's working, but my friend wired up theirs and it's not working. So you can kind of compare, you could share your circuits with each other. One of the things that I like to do when I'm kind of trapped at home is just take on projects and, make sure that I'm always trying to learn something new and better myself. And technology is great because with an Arduino, you'll need to buy some stuff, but you can do web development. You can like make websites. You can do digital content. You don't have to buy anything. And a lot of the stuff is free for students. So if money is like an issue that you're concerned about, there's lots of stuff that you can do. I could build like my own Google Home and have it connect to things around for free. Just like at home, I could make my own here. Or I could do machine learning projects. If I have some kind of computer, I can try to do some facial recognition. So when I come to my computer, it says hello to me, and all of that stuff you can do without purchasing anything. If you just have a webcam, you could use the camera feed to do facial recognition. And the Arduino stuff, that it's really affordable to be able to buy an Arduino and just get some wires, start off with just a breadboard, making some circuits. So there's a lot of stuff that you can do at home, and the online learning can be just great to connect with people, if it's building with your friends. Or I was just thinking about when I was learning this stuff in the first place, I felt the same. I had no idea where to start. I would often reach out to people who wrote the tutorials I was learning from and say, hi, I'm a student. I'm new to this. I'm doing this thing. I had a question. Can you answer me? And oftentimes, these people are just excited about what they made and they're excited that you're making it. And so they'll help you. So it's a great time to like not really be shy about reaching out to people, because a lot of times if you're making something, you're excited about it, you want to share, and you'd be happy to help someone learn. So I think we're all kind of trying to embody that attitude of sharing and learning and, self-betterment.
So what are some examples of projects that students have created that you've guided them through in the Blue Stamp program?
So we have some really exciting stuff happening this summer. And then I've run the New York program for Blue Stamp for the past 3 years. So I have a few favorites. So this summer, I've actually been super impressed by all the students who have taken on machine learning as a project they wanted to tackle. And we've done everything from just kind of getting the basics of facial recognition or object detection. So you could show it something. So I could like hold up a pen and it would be like, you're holding a pen, which is like kind of amazing. We've done some image recognition where you could show it a picture and it'll tell you what you showed it a picture of, so it can distinguish dogs versus cats. We're really digging into that, just how this technology works. And one of our students is doing a double session and just got the basics of machine learning in our first session. And then this session is actually creating his own image recognition model, where he's training his machine learning model to look at parking lots and then detect how many open spaces are in the parking lot. And we were like, not sure if it was going to work, but then this last week he really had a breakthrough and he was finally able to start getting answers about how open the parking lot was. And I thought that was just so amazing because it was a really difficult challenge. And some other students, there's a project that we have that's called the Knee Activity Monitor. And it's like, it's this like knee sleeve that you put on. It has some sensors that detect how your knee is kind of moving through space for like athletes if they're training to make sure they're like working, running safely. And then it uses Bluetooth to push the information online. So you can kind of look at it on a web dashboard. And one of our students was really inspired by this and modified it to make smart shoes. And so instead of a knee, it's on his feet. And he put all these sensors on his feet. And now he's walking around and kind of pushing a lot of different data. He's got accelerometers. He's got pressure sensors in the shoes to determine like how the foot is kind of falling on the ground, as well as like GPS information. So he has like these like feet dashboards online, which I think is so cool. And then one other project I would like to talk about, there's a student who is really interested in music. And she wanted to build a piano for people who could not hear. So for people who are hard of hearing or completely deaf. And so like, how do you build a musical instrument for someone who can't hear music? And she ended up building a system that uses pressure sensors. So when you kind of press on it, like you're playing the piano, it pushes the information to the computer, which then makes visualizations. So if you're pressing chords, you're getting kind of like colorful fireworks on the screen to kind of show you that like how hard you're pressing and, the chords that you're making. And I was just so impressed not only with her ability to learn how to work with these sensors, learn how to make the Arduino communicate with an entirely different program that makes visualizations. It's like this kind of communication is a challenge. And then also she actually built out this whole piano and used like woodworking, and she like had these rods and, everything was like movable. And it was truly just this amazing project that she conceived of from day one. Like she came into my interview with her and was like, I'm really interested in music. I want to build this thing. And we kind of talked about it. And I was like, yeah, you could absolutely do that. like, I want to see this happen. And she just really ran with it. And I was so just impressed with her from start to finish. And that's one of my favorite projects I've ever seen made in the program.
Yeah, that sounds really moving. I would love to, I don't know if there's like a YouTube video of that, but I'd love to see how that works. Do you have anything to share about how students can find out a little bit more about BlueStamp? Do you want to share a little bit about what that is and how people can connect with you?
Yeah, so I would love to take just a minute to talk about the BlueStamp program. So BlueStamp has been around for 10 years. It started in New York. It was our co-founders' names are Dave and Robin. They're really awesome guys. Dave's an engineer and Robin is really an expert in startups. He's currently working in biotech, but he's really great at like starting companies. And that we've been teaching students in the New York area for 10 years. And then we've also been in several other places around the country, but our other location is in the Bay Area right now. And then when the pandemic started, we unfortunately had to move to online programming, but that has been amazing. So we're totally remote this summer, and it has gone so well. We had no idea what to expect. You know, we really tried to make it happen in person, but it wasn't safe for everybody. But we went remote, and the students impressed us so much that we want to keep trying to offer this remote programming. And so we have a few things that are in the works. We're looking at week-long kind of after-school programs. We're thinking about maybe some weekend stuff. But if you're interested, you could go to our website, which is bluestampengineering.com, or you could email me. My email is jessie@bluestampengineering.com. And you can ask questions about the types of remote programs we offer. But our goal is to offer them year round. And we're still kind of figuring a little bit about what that looks like. But we're like just so impressed by how the students have kind of taken on the challenge and really accomplished a lot that we think that it'll be a cool thing going forward.
That's great. Yes, I know students are looking for remote opportunities. And I think that what you're offering is so helpful. And likewise, we're offering our Emerging Leader program, which covers slightly different topics, but you really have seen the value of building these online communities of students where they can take a passion project and really capitalize on that project for these weeks and have supportive instructors, have supportive other students, however we live in this remote world.
Yeah, absolutely. Finding good opportunities and outlets and ways to connect with people is so important. Yeah, I've been happy every day to be able to log in and connect with our BlueStamp students because I'm here, at home with everybody else. So it's been great.
Well, anything else you want to share, Jessie, before we wrap up?
I guess I do have one thing. So for students who are interested in engineering, I have my sort of favorite little words of wisdom, which is that engineering is a field that you can kind of think about, like engineering is a tool for you to use. So engineering can be like your hammer. And it's like, what are the other things in the world that you're interested in? So kind of like what I was saying before, are you interested in self-driving cars? Are you interested in space travel? Are you like me? Were you interested in like museums? Because if you're interested in like exhibitions, the same technology that you would use to build a self-driving car, an Arduino, you could use that to build things that are exhibiting in a museum. You could build something interactive. They're actually using them in the real world. Are you interested in sports? Well, you might look into how people are building helmets to keep football players safe by using like pressure sensors and accelerometers to make sure that they're not like being hit too hard. All of these things can use the same engineering tools to apply solutions to almost any field. I've seen people working in fashion, music, sports, like performance, communications, any kind of field has some connection to engineering. And what is so cool is that you have the opportunity to figure out like what is the overlap between your interests and in engineering. And you can really make like an amazing kind of custom career for yourself by figuring out like, what is this overlap for you? And so that's kind of like what I did is I found, I was like art and engineering was something that was interesting to me. And so I ended up in this very cool place where I was building just really awesome projects, whereas some other people are, they find their overlap. And it's just like, just a cool thing for you to figure out how to do. So engineering is really a very broad field. It doesn't have to just be the thing that you think of that's like stereotypical engineering. It can really kind of open the world to you in a really cool way. So I hope that you kind of open your mind to what it might mean to actually be an engineer, because it could be so much bigger than you think it might be.
Thanks, Jessie. That is really inspiring. feel out, and I just want to make a plug also to any young women listening that, you should heed Jessie's advice, because I've worked with a lot of young women over the years, and I know they face a lot of challenges and barriers in entering this field. And I feel like the way you've broken it down and made it accessible is really helpful. So I hope there are women listening that see this as an opportunity for them to jump on board. Well, thank you again for joining me, Jessie. To everyone online, thank you for joining us as well. This is College Admissions Real Talk with Dr. Aviva Legatt. I want to say thank you to Restream, which is allowing us to stream on this many different platforms. I will see you next time. Take care.
College Admissions Real Talk is hosted by Dr. Aviva Legatt, edited by Stephanie Carlin, and produced by Incontrera Consulting. I'm Caroline Stokes, and this has been your daily boost of college admissions insight. Have a question? Text Dr. Legatt at 610-222-5762. For more information on Dr. Legatt and Ivy Insight, visit www.ivyinsight.com. And you can pick up Dr. Legatt's book, Get Real and Get In, at major retail outlets across the world. Insight out.